Okay, we're done vacuuming the system out now. I'm going to go ahead and perform our decay test. We're going to do it in a half an hour with my 1.5 horsepower 14.4 dual CFM Vivo Home. Total awesome machine. And anyway, so we've been a half an hour vacuuming this thing, and we're going to go ahead and do our decay test now. We're sitting at 13.1 microns. 13.1 microns, and we're going to go ahead and start our decay test now. So we go ahead and valve it off. I probably should valve it off. Go ahead and do that. And so what I do is I allow it to go 100 over my low, and my low was 13.1, so I allow it to go to 113.1. And if it ever went higher than that, I would just start over, because it shouldn't go much more than that. I allow it to go 100 over, and so I'll allow it to go 113.1. I'll bring you back in 10 minutes. Okay, we did our 10-minute decay test, and again, this is the system we have now, and it's been 10 minutes, and we went from 13.1 to 16.0. So 16.0 from 13.1 to 16.0, and that's our decay test, and that's our tool system, and we have it. Okay, we'll go ahead and release our refrigerant, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we don't want to lose our vacuum we just did. Perfect vacuum. So what we're going to do is put a little back pressure on here by opening this valve, and it'll go all the way up and all the way back around, and it'll seal this system with refrigerant. I already got this valved off, and so then this thing here, I'm going to have refrigerant come all the way to this point. Then we'll be able to remove this system and insert our valve core. Okay. And I want to show you how to do this so you don't lose any refrigerant. This is R454B, and it's so expensive right now. It's just, right at this present time, it's very expensive. And so we don't want to lose any of our refrigerant. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it up just a whiff. Just a hair. Now watch this. Okay. Just that little bit. That's all we need to put pressure on this system. Now our vacuum's totally sealed. No matter what happens here, it's totally sealed. Okay, so we can't lose our vacuum. And so right now we're free to remove our hose and then start our process of putting in the valve core. Okay, so remove the hose, and then we take our valve core. Now what we want to do is, if at all possible, change your valve core out. Okay, the valve core, I put in a brand new heavy duty one. The one it came with, I looked at it real close with my magnifying glass, and it looked like it had a little separation. They tell you to change it every time, but I never do. But this one I did change because it didn't look perfect. It just looked like it had a little scarring or something. So anyway, I would replace it with a really awesome brand new one. You can order these things. I'll put a link to them down below. They're heavy duty, awesome valve cores, and there's replacements. So you take this thing here, you can only go in so far because it's valved out here. So you bring this part of the tool up and stick it right in, and then screw it on. You don't screw it on very tight. These are low loss fittings, and so you don't need a lot of tightness. Okay. So just go on there. It doesn't have to be real tight. Just go on a little bit till just a little bit snug. Then what we're going to do is we're going to open this up, and that's going to put pressure on here. Okay, now watch this. See how it's stiffened that up? That put pressure on here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to release the air. This system had air in it, but it's now back pressured with refrigerant. So we want to listen to it. We're going to release the air. Listen. Okay, so we released all the air, and now we have just refrigerant in here. Okay, so now it's not a problem at all. Because it's under a little bit of pressure, you have to use your thumb and hold it up while you're screwing it in. So we're just going to simply push it in. As soon as it makes contact, we just keep our thumb on it. Okay, just put a little bit, not a lot of pressure, just hardly any, you know, just a little tiny bolt. You see how small it is. It's a real small bolt with real small threads. So just put a little bit of pressure on it and start screwing it in while you're keep pressure on it. You don't have to go up much more than snug. So you just go up until it snugs up. Okay. Now this thing here has got a big fat head on it. The reason it's so fat is because it has stuff inside. There's 3 extra valve cores and some other stuff inside there. So that's awesome about these tools here. Gives you a lot of room to play with. It makes it easy to turn, and it has extra valve cores in them. I'm not using one of them, but they're in there. Okay, so that helps. Now, at this point, we got it all the way in. We're just going to go ahead and release it down. Okay, and now we're going to check it and see if it's held. Okay, so right now, let's come over here. Now, well, we know for sure it's not on here anymore. It's in there, but now we've got to find out if it's holding the refrigerant. Okay, so let's see if it's leaking or not. And we'll use a test cap, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, I'm hoping today's the day that I get to show this. This is just a regular cap, and I just drilled a hole in it to make it a test cap. But what you do is take it and just put a little bit of soapy solution in it. Okay, and it should blow bubbles if it's got a leak. And what's funny about that is never had a leak, but it'd be nice if it did, so that way I can show you what to do, how to fix it and all that. But so far I've never had one. But anyway, so we just open that up, and if it was blowing bubbles, there would be, I mean, there's a refrigerant. So okay, so anyway, that valve core held perfectly. I expected it to, of course, but the point is it's perfect. And now we'll go ahead and just release our refrigerant into the system after we pull this off. So let's go ahead and pull this off. This right here is not a low loss fitting on our tools. This one here is just a rubber O-ring inside there, but as you can see, it held perfectly for what's it, 13 microns or whatever, and I've shown you before that it did 9 microns, and so it held perfectly. So even though it seems like a weird thing to have an O-ring as opposed to a low loss valve, it works. So it's a good system. Anyway, if it works, it works. That's what matters. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and release our refrigerant into the system. So we already had that one in there, so we'll go ahead and do the rest. And I'll show you how to do that. So it's just right now, it's just a matter of opening it up. And then it has a little stop on it, so you can't go any further than that, and you stop right when you get to that point. Okay. Now we're all set. Put a little nylog on the face and on the threads, and same thing here. These caps are not decorative. These things here are the service valves, and they have an O-ring or 2. Sometimes they have 2, most of the time they have 1. But there's an O-ring in there. You don't want weather on there, baking it or anything else, you know, in the hot sun or even the coldness. So if you get these things on there, snug them up. You don't have to torque them, but snug them up. And here, you just saw the valve core. It's got a little tiny thin plastic seal. You don't want that thing under any kind of pressure of the outdoor weather. So put a seal on there, put a little nylog, and tighten it a little bit, okay? Snug it up. And once we have the system on and running, we're going to do our final check. Our final check is always check this here, 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 and here. Check everything for leaks. Okay, so you're checking these 5 joints, and then the 2 at the IDU and line set. And on this system, well, I'm not going to check them because I think I showed you I did the brazing on this system, so there's no leaks up there. We already did a nitrogen pressure check. There's no leaks, so we're just going to come up and check these 5 here, okay, on the last test. But you have to check all 7. These 5 and the 2 at the IDU line set connections. And then if there's no leaking with it running with full pressure, because you had it with a nitrogen pressure check, which is static pressure, and then you had a vacuum, which is, again, static, relatively static pressure. But with the refrigerant flowing and the compressor moving and all these things happening, you want to check it one more time with that pressure. So there's 3 different kind of pressures: the nitrogen pressure, the vacuuming pressure, and then this working pressure. And if you'll check it the last time and you have no leaks, you're good to go. You can relax and put your feet up.